It's really an honor to be able to share some memories of our rabbi. And Phyllis, I want to thank you, first of all, for working in concert with others to make this program a reality so that those of us who are former presidents have an opportunity to say a few words about Elie Spitz during these last several months, Rabbi, of your tenure here at CBI. I've had the privilege of knowing Elie Spitz for more than 3 decades, and I have lots of memories and lots of contexts. Sharing lunch after services, not today, but on other days, discussing issues, listening to sermons. Many have enlightened me, some have inspired me, and a few have made me angry, and that's okay, because, you know, it's okay to differ sometimes. Working with the rabbi on shul business in a couple of contexts. When I was president, we would meet regularly for lunch at select vegetarian restaurants throughout central Orange County to discuss issues of shul business. Other times when I was on the board of directors, and actually the most awkward of times, for those of you who have been involved in it, when I had to serve on the rabbi contract negotiation committees. It's never any fun to be negotiating compensation with your rabbi. It's just a weird feeling. So, to be a little cutesy, Elie Spitz has worn many kippot for me. He's been my rabbi, he's been my teacher, he's been my partner in shul business, and he's been my counselor. Now, in his blessing and remembrance several weeks ago, Ron Wolfson emphasized that it's all about relationships. So I want to share some of my memories of Elie Spitz, not as a rabbi, but as a friend, and of the connections between his family and mine that go past 30 years now. So I first met Elie when he came to interview at CBI in the spring of 1988. Hal Hurwitz was president then. It was his first term, or as I like to say, it was the reign of Hal the First. Gives you kind of a Shakespearean feel, doesn't it? And during his remembrance a couple of weeks ago, Hal described the Friday night dinner that he and Rhonda hosted for Elie and certain members of the board of directors and their spouses. It was a half welcome dinner. It was half sort of relaxed before the real ritual and interview process starts. And frankly, it was partially an informal interview and vetting process. I was not on the board of directors at that time, but Lydia was on the board. And by virtue of her status, we were invited. And what I remember distinctly is we brought along our newborn daughter, Rebecca, who was about 5 or 6 weeks old at that time. A few months later, Elie came out to California with Linda and their newborn son, Joseph, as they settled in when he started his tenure as rabbi here. And from then on, our families have been intertwined in a variety of ways. Elie officiated at the bris of our son Jeremy. His son John, his son Joseph went to school with my Jeremy, my Rebecca for 13 years. They were classmates together from kindergarten to 12th grade. Elie has officiated at the B'nai Mitzvot of our 3 kids. On one occasion, Elie took his family up to Los Angeles to visit my in-laws and see my father-in-law's Lincoln collection. Somewhat later, when my father-in-law took ill and was in the hospital, you were kind enough to go up to LA to visit him. So we got to know the family pretty well. And years later, when we traveled to New Orleans, when our son was working as a teacher there for several years, we would take our son and invite his friends out to dinner when we'd go out to dinner with him. And on many occasions, we had Jonathan as a dinner guest because he was studying medicine at Tulane. One of my fondest memories of Rabbi Spitz and his family was Pesach in 1999, when both of our families had the good fortune to be in Jerusalem for the bar mitzvah of the son of one of the congregants of the shul. Now, both families had 3 kids, so suffice it to say we were not staying at the King David Hotel. I would say far from it, but we were actually right next door. But there was a big drop down between the King David and the place we were staying at, which was called Beit Shmuel. Beit Shmuel serves as the residence hall for, some of you are nodding, you've been there, okay, for the Jerusalem campus of HUC. And they also rent out some rooms as family accommodations, kind of hotel style. It's sort of the closest that Jerusalem has to a Motel 6, I think. It's linoleum floors, it's walls that you can wash down and wipe down. So we get there, we're a little jet lagged, we settle into our rooms, and then our kids realize that the Spitzes are just down the hall. And within minutes, jet lag thrown to the wind, our kids are running up and down the hall playing soccer with the Spitz kids, waking up anybody who might possibly be wanting to sleep that evening. The next day, we spent almost the entire day, I don't know if you remember this, Rabbi, we spent almost the entire day traipsing through the old city. And it was a spectacular, amazing day. It's a kind of a day you could only have in Jerusalem. It was Friday morning, Shabbos was coming on. It was Erev Pesach, because we were there for the Pesach holiday. So first Seder was just several hours away. It was also Good Friday, and as I recall, it was during Ramadan. So you had this amazing confluence of sights and sounds, wonderful sights and sounds that you would only get in a situation like that in Jerusalem. And we went all over the old city. The Spitzes took us into the farthest reaches of the Shuk to find a collapsible stroller for Anna Rose. We went to their favorite Armenian pottery store. We still have the bowl that we bought there. It's a wonderful bowl. And then at the end of our sort of journey through the old city, we had a late lunch downtown at a restaurant that's sort of at the bottom of Ben Yehuda Street that has kind of an interesting design. It's sort of half dairy, half meat, with some planters in between. And they sort of move the planters depending on how many guests they have on either side, I guess. And we got there, we explained to the kids, what the deal was. One side's dairy, one side's meat. The kids all ran over to the meat side, sat down, started ordering, and had these huge plates of shish kebab and all that other kind of stuff. Meanwhile, we old folks moved over to the dairy side, nibbled on our salads, and kind of just watched the kids and quelled. So Rabbi Elie, it's hard to imagine that in a few months you won't be standing up here where I am now or over there, taking a deep breath, centering yourself, straightening your tallis as it tends to fall to the ground as you teach us. More than a few presidents who've done this in the past have ended their remembrances with a blessing to you. I have to tell you that feels more than a bit presumptuous of me to do that. But in this spirit of the time of transition for you, I would offer you this hope, if you will, my threefold blessings. First, that you continue to be curious and interested in people, places, and events, that you find new projects, and that you enjoy new adventures once you don't have the day-to-day responsibilities of CBI on your shoulders. Next, that you and Linda have the opportunity to spend more time with your family and relish the growth and journey of your children as they move through adulthood. And last, that whatever you do, you don't stray too far from beautiful Tustin, California, so that all of us who are your congregants and your friends can continue to maintain that friendship with you and your family. Shabbat Shalom. Amen.
Well, just a few words to say thank you publicly to you, Joel. As I anticipated you coming up to say a few words, what I thought of was the privilege of knowing your mother, Rita, and your father, Sid, of knowing Lydia's mom, Bee, and her father, King, and the privilege that I've had of knowing your parents and knowing your children, Ben and Rebecca and Jeremy. And that's truly the gift of being a rabbi for a long time, is, as you said, it's having relationships. And it's not just one-on-one relationships. It's relationships with generations that are a family. And your family is very important to me. I'll just add one example. In significant part, my son choosing to go to study at Tulane Medical School was that his dear friend Ben Kuperberg was there. Jeremy Kuperberg was there. And the two of them, in those years in New Orleans, would become trivia competitors as a team in the bars of New Orleans, getting free beers by the gallon.
My son is a wonderful influence.
And their closeness is our extended family's closeness. And that is the privilege of being the rabbi for so many years, is indeed across generations to link ourselves and to choose to link ourselves, because you and Lydia are indeed a couple that is a privilege to have as friends, as a couple. May we continue in years to come with more time to share more together.
Thank you.
Thank you.